You're listening to the Bleav in Giants podcast with Giants legend Carl Banks and broadcaster Bob Papa.
Welcome to another edition of Bleav in Giants. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks. Ooh, bragging rights week. Giants, Jets. Once every 4 years, we get rolling with this bad boy. Giants lead the all-time series 8-6. Jets have won the last two, 2015, 2019. Carl, how are you?
I'm doing good, Bob.
2019, Saquon Barkley had his worst game of his career. He had 13 carries for 1 yard.
Yeah.
He was reminded about that by the media. And Daniel Jones, the same guy that doesn't scan the field and doesn't see things and is hurried in the pocket and doesn't push the ball down the field, he had 308 yards passing in that game with 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Giants lost the game 34-27. But I guess way back then, Daniel Jones was able to see the field and he had pocket presence and he can push the ball down the field.
Yeah, it's funny how things change, man. The variables change in this lovely sport that we cover. But listen, this is a game that the Jets want to stay in the hunt, in their division hunt. The Giants want to stay alive, stack another W, and get ready for the next game. So both teams have stakes that are relatively important. This is not a throwaway game. I expect the Jets to come out and defensively play at an elite level because they are an elite defense. And they're difficult defense to really prepare for up front, Bob, because they platoon their players. And so you can look at their front four and say, okay, this is what this guy does well. You know what they do schematically. And then it's the individual players, like when you're doing scouting reports, you can say, okay, scheme-wise, this is what they want to do. And then you start to break down each and every player across their defensive front. And this is his favorite move, and this is what his go-to move is. And then you got to do about 8 or 9 of those guys if you're an offensive lineman, because when they come into the game, there's no drop off. I mean, those guys just continuously come at you. One of the best cornerbacks in football in Sauce Gardner, CJ Mosley, is as good as they come as a linebacker. And it's so interesting. CJ Mosley, I don't think he got enough credit for the job he did on Travis Kelce in that Kansas City game. And he literally shut him down. He didn't shut him out, but he shut him down. He did a great job there. So I say that all that to say is this team is no less of a challenge from a defensive standpoint than any of the best teams the Giants have had on their roster thus far.
Yeah, they're really good. I mean, they got 13 takeaways. They're not good on third down, which would surprise me. They're not good on third down defense. But they take the ball away from you. They don't have a crazy amount of sacks, but they're third in the NFL as far as creating pressure. They create pressure, according to the next gen stats, on 42% is their pressure rate. And they have a 37% pressure rate, which is 4th best in the NFL without blitzing. So they come at you in ways. They got a lot of guys. But again, you can convert third downs on. They've given up a bunch of third downs. They're good in red zone defense, only 7 touchdowns in 19 trips. But Carl, I mean, this is another weight class game. Yes, is the Jet defense one of the better defenses in the NFL? Mm-hmm. Yes. As bad as the Giants' offense has been this year, their offense is worse by almost all the metrics. They're last in red zone offense, 6 touchdowns in 18 trips. They're terrible in third down conversion rate. It's a fascinating game because suddenly the strength of the Giants is their defense with the way they've played, over the last month. And, this has got the makings of being one of these lower scoring kind of games, doesn't it?
It does. And it is one of these games where turnovers could decide this game, because offenses are going to struggle. The Jets offense is going to struggle. The Giants offense is going to struggle a bit. So just based on the makeup of teams. And I want to go back to the pressure thing, right? The Jets, there are people that say, well, pressure doesn't mean anything if you don't get a sack. Well, one of the reasons why the Jets have 31 takeaways?
13
takeaways is because they can pressure. Yeah, I inverted. Yeah. Is because they can pressure the quarterback into making mistakes. And that's the impact of pressure from a defense. They don't always result in sacks, but pressure means you're forcing bad decisions by a quarterback or hurrying decisions by a quarterback, and those often lead to mistakes. So both teams are going to have to do that. The Giants will have to keep the pressure on Zach Wilson. And the other thing they're going to have to do is when those opportunities for turnovers come, hint, hint, number 5, you got to make them because they can make the difference in a football game.
I got a message for our fans out there. Football's back. BetOnline's your number one information source for all your sports wagering info with up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns. Get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals from the NFL and college football at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on stats, news, and odds. From week 1 all the way to the college football playoffs and Super Bowl, BetOnline is going to give you access to the best football promotions and contests available anywhere online. So head to the website today or use your mobile device. Get in. And to me, that's going to be the difference in the game, right? I mean, can the Giants protect the football? One of the things that Tyrod Taylor does very well is when he drops back to pass and there's pressure, moves around a little bit, and he's not sitting in there waiting for something to develop. He's on the move. Got to be protective of the ball when he's on the move because the Jets are good at knocking it out of your hands. And then the same thing's going to go on the Jets side of it, right? When Zach Wilson's under pressure, does he make some kind of errant throw? I mean,
yeah, that is the danger, and he has done that in just about every football game they've played. But you've got to force that. Now, I would say, both teams believe in their running game. I believe the Jets are going to rely on theirs a lot more so that they could stay in the green and stay, ahead of the chains as best they can. I think Saquon Barkley will continue to put pressure on the Jets defense. They're going to have to commit to stopping them. They're a really good defense. I don't take anything away from them, but when you got a really good running back, and I kind of told the story before, it's like playing against a Barry Sanders. You stop him and then you exhale, and then you stop him again and then you exhale, because at any given play, he can break one and it gets ugly for you really fast. So that's the pressure that a back like Saquon Barkley puts on you. And that's why the Giants can't be really tilted, heavy pass, light run. They've got to get somewhere around 60-40, 50-50 run pass or pass run in order for them to really keep pressure on the Jets defense.
So you mentioned Sauce Gardner. He was in the concussion protocol. He's out of the concussion protocol. He's going to play. Both corners are going to play in this game. You got Jalen Hyatt, you got Slayton, who are your deep threats. When you're going against a corner like that, don't you have to, at some point, go at him early just to test him?
Of course. Yeah.
Right?
Especially when you have a guy like Jalen Hyatt.
Right.
You have to.
Because he ran right by Sauce Gardner in the preseason on a play.
Yeah, he caught him.
Double moved him.
He caught him, yeah. But the reason you have to do that is you don't want that guy to have a day off. right? And a lot of teams have decided, well, we don't want to go at him. Then you're playing with one hand tied behind your back. You're playing 10 against 11. You want to play 11 on 11, and you want to run him. Run him. He does pull, he does tug. They all do, the cornerbacks in this league. You can get your, especially if you got a speed guy on him, you can get your pass interference calls. You'll get your illegal contact calls. That keeps you moving too. That should be part of your strategy as well. Now, they have really good safeties, but those safeties can be occupied because of the receiving ability of Saquon Barkley, the receiving ability of Darren Waller. And again, you've got Darius Slayton, and let's not forget Wan'Dale Robinson is going to factor in this game too.
I was thinking about, as I was watching, our we got a lot of great fans that follow us, right? Watch the show, follow us. So I was watching a bunch of stuff that our buddy Big Blue VCR put up. And, he puts up all this stuff of, it's Washington week. It's Jets week. So he's putting up clips of all these games between the Giants and the Jets. So I was watching, he put up a bunch of stuff yesterday about the 07 game, which was it was a fun game to watch. Kerry Rhodes had a fumble return for a touchdown. He took the ball out of Jacobs' hands. Aaron Ross wound up sealing the game with a 43-yard pick six to make it 35-24. Plaxico had a 53-yard touchdown catch in the game. But one of the things that he was posting was Plaxico had 124 yards receiving in the game on the 5 carries. But the Giants were not shy with Eli Manning and Plaxico Burress to go at Darrelle Rivas.
Right.
And Rivas was the best in the NFL at that point. Rivas Island was starting to be developed, and people were understanding how good this kid could be. And he was fantastic even in the game. It's not like it was easy for Plex, but they made him work. So that got me to thinking about being smart, but making sure that the guy has a day at the office as opposed to giving him a day off.
Yeah, you do have to do that. And you also want to make him tackle. You want to make cornerbacks tackle as well.
That's one of the things that made Rivas great, right? He was a tremendous two-way corner. Not only was he a great cover guy, but he tackled people. He wasn't scared to mix it up by any stretch. He wasn't doing the old Olay, hoping to get the guy down or shoulder him. He was like going in there and hitting him.
Yeah. But you do have to do that. You wanted to attack the perimeter of defenses. You want to be able to get somebody on the corner to see if you can get the corners involved in making tackles, because that also, the more physical you make it, that's more they have to worry about. But the rivalry is not what it used to be in terms of hatred for your opponent. Interleague, big brother, little brother, who's going to come out on top, that type of thing. And they used to be called the Snoopy Bowl, didn't it?
Yes, it was called the Snoopy Bowl there for a while. But I think MetLife has since discontinued its relationship with the Peanuts character and Snoopy, which is why it's not called the Snoopy Bowl anymore. I don't think MetLife has any ties anymore to that brand.
The Jet Giant player relationships, I think they're interesting because you share the same town, and we're in an age now where these kids make so much money, they run into each other, and they're all friends. And I think even when I played, we had our share of friends, but we had disdain for a lot of those players on the other side, and because a lot of them were POSs. And so, and even to their own teammates, they were pieces of crap. But
Gastineau? You're not talking about Gastineau, are you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that. I had my share of fights. I hated Mickey Schuler. If I could fight him off the field, I would have done that too.
Can I ask you I think it was from the 87 game. What is it about you and Mickey Schuler?
On the field, POS.
So dirty.
Shirt artist, dirty. Yeah, and I just didn't like him. And, for the most part, I didn't like any tight end that I played against. I was never really – I kind of got myself in a state of mind where, I'm going to do battle. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to punish you. He was just exceptionally high on my list.
Well, there was that one play where you're engaged with him, and then he pulls you down by the jersey as the play is over.
Then he punches me in the head.
Punches you in the head, so then you open hands, whacked him back. And then you got face masks everywhere. It was unbelievable.
But that's Mickey Schuler for you. Or it was Mickey Schuler. I don't know him. I don't think I ever know him off the field. But that's the type of things you deal with some of those players. They've always had a few of those. But that's what made the rivalry what it was too. And they had some really good guys that competed their ass off too. But it was enough to really get you fired up and to really want to send them home packing. But it's a different day now in sports. I don't even know if you can really feel a rivalry, the intensity of it that it used to be. But these two teams are similar. So there's enough in common in terms of their desire to be better than their co-tenants. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're not even co-tenants, right? They're co-owners.
Co-owners, right.
I think that was the thing. I think it always felt more intense, right? When it was...
They're timeshare owners?
Yeah, when it was Giant Stadium.
Yeah.
And, there was the red light at the top that said Giant Stadium. You could call it Meadowlands. You could call it whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
It was Giant Stadium. The seats were the colors of the Giants. I felt like those games definitely had some intensity. Like the 88 game. The 88 game was like ridiculous because if you guys win the game, you win the division.
Yeah.
And a first round bye. And Al Toon winds up catching that pass late in the game. You guys kind of let that one slip through your grasp. And the next thing you know, you're sitting on the couch the next night on Monday Night Football, hoping that the Niners are going to beat the Rams, and the Niners laid down because they didn't want you guys in the playoffs. The Rams were terrible. And you went from being 11-5 and winning the division and having a bye to finishing 10-6 and not even getting in the playoffs.
Not even getting in the playoffs. Yeah, but see, this is the warning I will give to Giants players. Don't wait for the game to start. Come ready to play. Don't wait for it to become a game, because when you play the Jets, janky things happen. So come ready to play. Don't wait for it to become a game. Come ready to execute. Yes, you guys are fighting in the same weight class, but don't slip up, because they will hit you and knock you out. You don't want a dogfight. You want to come out, establish this is the game we're playing, and let them raise it up to your level, because if you just come in there sleepwalking, you have a game on your hands, and when you play the Jets, strange things happen.
Last week we had a lot of fun with when, Darren Waller scored the touchdown. And it was their first offensive touchdown in 220 minutes. They hadn't scored a touchdown since Matt Breida's touchdown run in San Francisco. They didn't have a touchdown pass since the Arizona game when Hodgins scored late. It was 260 minutes or whatever the heck it was. There's another streak on the line here, Carl. Well, we made so much chatter about that, of the Giants not scoring in the first half of a game, an offensive touchdown. Do you realize they haven't scored a touchdown in the second half of a game for 4 straight, which is the first time since the 2003 season late in the 03 season, Jim Fossil's last year as head coach, that the Giants have gone 4 straight games without scoring a second half touchdown. Now, I don't know if they're going to need one this week. It might be field goals that you need to make in this game.
Touchdowns are good in any form. Yeah, it's safe to say that the Giants have a problem scoring the football. Some of it is their own lack of execution when those opportunities are there. Others, it just looks bogged down. That's an area that they have to continue to work at. But then that's why, the record is what it is. You get down there, you've got to score points. You've got to be able to execute. Your offensive line, to their credit, last week, they, according to the head coach, did not make mental errors. They've got to do that again this week. And especially your mental awareness has to be heightened when you're down in the red zone, when you're down in the green zone. Because if you have a big momentum play that gets you there, you do want to finish the job. You don't want to have to settle for field goals. Field goals count. But if you can put the ball in the end zone, that's what you have to do.
Do you feel like some of our fans out there, some of our Giant Legion, because I had texted you last night, I won't mention any names, but like they're just trolling us? They're trying to get us to respond to stupidity?
Yeah. That's what some do. And, I'm going to just call them out. It's my pen pal, Charlie Vack. Charlie has proven to be harmless. He's a flamethrower. Let me tell you what Charlie did the other day. Charlie sends me these invitations to his spaces, and every once in a while I drive by, right? So I think it was on the weekend. Charlie sends me one. I drive by the spaces. It's out of control. Charlie's not even there. But it is out of control. Charlie lit the flame and walked away. And so I DM Charlie. I'm like, Charlie, I was in the spaces. He's like, yeah, he's got the New England voice, but I can only imagine how it would sound. Like, yeah, I had to leave. I'm like, you invited me to some place and you weren't even there. But he lit the matching up. So, yeah, Charlie, we love you. We're just going to send you bouquets. Every time you do something crazy, I'm just going to send you bouquets because I know that's really what you want. Or maybe you could send me some New England lager or some ale or a nice seasonal. Seasonals are great up there now where you are, so send me some.
Some chowder?
Chowder is good this time of year. Manhattan or Boston clam chowder, Bobby?
New England.
Yeah. Okay, here's a better one.
I'm a New England
clam chowder. Clam chowder or fish chowder?
Clam chowder.
I like a nice fish chowder. When I go to Boston, I'll go. Well, this is when legal seafood was really legal seafood, when there was only a few of them. I used to go there just for the fish chowder.
We should be saving this for Patriots Week next month.
I know.
So bragging rights, Giants, Jets. The Giants think that they might have some of these injured guys back. Who knows? Daniel Jones. How concerned are you at this point that this has lingered as long as it's lingered with him?
So we often hear about car crash victims, right?
Yes.
Whiplash is a real thing. And when you look at Daniel Jones and the hit that he took, he literally, I don't know what they medically termed it as, but it wasn't what he had before. But he really suffered whiplash. His neck snapped back, and if you were rear-ended at a high speed, you'd be walking around in a neck brace for 6 months. That was the violence of what happened to him. So I think what they're trying to do is to make sure he's healthy. He's an investment. So I'm not concerned. You listen to him talk, there's nothing that he's indicating that it's more serious than what it is. And, he's starting to practice. He threw the ball yesterday. but they're not going to put him out there and risk further injury. They're going to get him healthy, and that's what they should do. And thank goodness they have Tyrod Taylor, or else they'd probably be more anxious to get him back on the field.
Absolutely. I mean, Tyrod is he's a luxury item. There's not a lot of teams that have a luxury item like a Tyrod Taylor that could come in and win a game for you. How did you curb your emotions on the field for a game like this? Because listen,
you saw me fight, right?
Yeah. I saw you fight. Yeah, you didn't curb that much.
I don't think I curbed him.
It was a different time, though. They let you mix it up a little bit back then.
Yeah.
Now they're just looking to throw you out of the game.
That's true too. That one would have definitely got me thrown out of the game. You don't you just come ready to play, Bob. It's a game where you don't feel it around. Players have to come mentally and physically ready to go from opening kickoff. Because these types of games, playing against the Jets, janky things happen. You got to be ready to go from the opening kickoff.
The Jets have beaten the Giants the last two meetings, 2015 in overtime, and then they scored the last 13 points in 2019 to beat the Giants 34-27. Prior to that, the Giants had won 4 straight. The Jets won the 2 previous ones, and the Giants won the 2 previous. So it's been a series of little streaks here. I think you were 100% right the way you opened the show, though. The Jets can stay relevant in the AFC. They're 3-3. They're coming off a bye. Buffalo looks beatable. They could have been beaten on Thursday Night Football, even by the Tampa Bay Bucks. They could have been beaten by the Giants. Now they're winning these games. And for the Giants, a win, not to put the cart ahead of the horse here, Carl, but a win for the Giants puts them squarely back into now wild card conversation for the rest of the season with the game against the Raiders coming up. So this is, as we approach Halloween, this is a very pivotal game, as you mentioned, for both of these teams. So I think it's going to have a playoff-like atmosphere to it.
It should. I think I'm curious to see how many Jet fans actually get into the stadium.
There's going to be a lot.
The Giants fans are giving up their tickets to the Jets, or the Jets are overpaying to get them, one or the other. But crowd participation is important.
Or you just have
Giants fans.
Or you just have season tickets, right? And you're inviting your buddy to go with you who happens to be a
Jet fan. Yeah, that too.
I mean, I've gotten a text. I'd say a half dozen texts already from friends of mine that are hardcore Jets fans. That are like, oh, I'm going to be at the game on Sunday. I'm going to be sitting in this suite. I got these tickets from my neighbor who can't use them because he's got a wedding or blah, 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 blah. So you'll have I'm going to say you're going to have like a 70-30 split.
Well, the 70 better be loud. I can tell you that. They better come ready to play too. The Giants fans, come ready to play, because it's you're going to need it. You need to make this a home game and not a neutral New York game. I had a lot of people calling me for tickets as well, Jet fans. They're all friends, and we talk sports, but then the one game they want to go to is obviously the Jets game. So
it'll be fun. It's always a fun atmosphere. It only happens once every 4 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like these two teams are going to be headed to the Super Bowl, where they're going to meet later this year. So that's it for the next couple of years anyway. Anything else that you want to get off your chest here? I mean, we know you can't stand Mickey Schuler, that's for sure.
No, that's it, man. Show up ready to play. Don't wait for the game to start. Be ready when it starts. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Can I give a shout out to a couple of Jets that I really like?
Yeah.
Joe Klecko's a dear friend.
Yeah, good dude.
He's not part of that group that you talked about.
Oop.
Bruce Harper.
Harp.
It can't be a nicer man.
Yeah.
Bruce Harper.
Marty Lyons.
Marty Lyons. Oh, the charity event, his charity golf event, and the work that Marty's done for charities. Good dude. So a lot of guys there's a lot of guys we like.
Greg Buttle. There's so many, and even some of the guys that I didn't play against. We do a lot of the joint NFL stuff together and like charity stuff. And they're some they're good human beings over there. They had a few, but that happens back in the day. But they're class act, these kids.
Yeah, Eli, and Nick Mangold have been doing this series for MetLife where we do these chalk talks. And Nick is as good a guy as you could possibly come across as well. All right, so you're right. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll be back next week for the recap. And enjoy the game, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Bleav in Giants.